Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Plain Talk. I'm your host, AJ Rivera, and today I'm joined by Republican governor candidate Lindy Blanchard. Lindy, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we're excited to get the opportunity to sit down with you and just get to know you a little bit. So if you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about why you're running for governor.
Okay, so I am the first ever Auburn grad to have served as ambassador for president. So I served in Slovenia for President Trump, and you get a fire in your pit to continue to serve. And so I came back and put my name in the hat to serve for this great state of Alabama. I'll tell you that as far as candidates in the race, I'm the only one that is funding my own race so that I can't have to be that candidate or governor when I become governor that has to pay back favors. So I won't be beholden to anyone, and I look forward to partnering with the people of this state and reconnect the voice of the people back to government so we can move this state forward in several different areas.
So I know when you kicked off your campaign a few months ago, you were originally running for the Senate, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So why the shift?
So it's the people. So I was listening to the voice of the people. So I was traveling the state all over, back and forth, and over, the people would come up to me and say, we have great candidates in the Senate, but we would like someone to run against Kay Ivey, the sitting governor. And so if you hear the voice of the people over and over saying the same thing in different areas of the state, you better listen.
Well, let's now get a little bit into some of the policies that these people of the states are talking about. So first off, education. Obviously, a very big topic in Alabama.
That's a big topic.
So U.S. News recently released their evaluation of each state. When it came to pre-K through 12th grade education, Alabama was unfortunately ranked 45th. When it came to higher education, it was a little bit better. We were sitting at about 39th. So if elected governor, what would you do in approaching the education system here in Alabama?
Well, I've lived in Alabama my whole life, except when I served, and so I went to public school in Alabama my whole life. I've educated 7 children in Alabama, and so I feel like I know a little bit about it, and I do realize that it was a lot better education when I was going to school than when my children are. I have 3 in public school in Pike Road right now. I'm a mom of 8, I've adopted 5, and we can do better for the future generations in education. Certainly focuses on number 1, on day 1, I would get rid of Common Core. That has been a common denominator since it has come into this state, and so if you see something going down, you might want to take a look at it and take it out, but our numbers have gone down ever since we've started Common Core in this state. Not to mention, other governors have taken it away, like DeSantis, and they went from ranking 27th to 3rd overall. So first of all, do that, and then certainly as a parent, I believe in school choice and parent choice, and DeSantis gave that opportunity to 53% of the state of Florida, and I believe we can do that in the state of Alabama and continue to move forward in our numbers. I'm a mathematician, not a politician, so I got my degree from Auburn in math, and I would be that governor that focused on math because we're ranked 52nd in math, if you can believe that. And we are a science and technology state. Auburn has wonderful cybersecurity connections with our state, and then of course we have NASA, we have the port building ships and all sorts of things, and we are a science and technology state, so we need to provide workers for these areas, and I'm just very focused on getting those math scores down but up in rankings.
Yeah. So our next topic, comes with how a lot of people are proposing to fund some education reforms, and that's, of course, going to be the lottery.
Yes.
So 2 bills have been brought forth within the Alabama legislature, one that's focusing on bringing and expanding casino gambling, and one that is instituting the Alabama Educational Lottery, similar to what Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida have instituted. What are your thoughts on bringing in the lottery as well as bringing in and expanding casino gambling?
So a governor really cannot direct the legislators on what bills to bring up, but she can educate the voters on what's being said in these bills. So if the legislators decide to bring up a bill, once again, but you have to remember, we have been talking about gambling in this state for about 30 years. And I don't gamble, I don't believe in gambling, but it's not my decision as governor to push that. It's the decision of the voters and the people of the state whether or not they want it. Obviously, they haven't wanted it for a long time because it keeps going away. But when and if a bill comes up, whether it's gambling, marijuana, any of those type things that are critical and lifelong for this state decisions, the people of the state need to vote. We need to always put it to a vote for the people, but they also need to know what they're voting on. So I would say to the legislators, number one, make them very transparent. And then after that, focus on not picking winners and losers. You can't decide who gets to do the gambling or who gets to, have a part of any licensing. And that needs to be strictly a vote for the people. And so I would definitely be that governor that's the megaphone governor to let everyone in this state know what's going on.
So then our third topic that I want to discuss with you is talking about the infrastructure and specifically talking about the gas tax. I know many candidates as well as many Alabamians have been very vocal about it, especially this election cycle. So for our viewers, so in 2019, Governor Kay Ivey instituted her Rebuild Alabama Infrastructure Plan.
She did.
And to help pay for this plan was a 10-cent gas tax increase that we have seen over the past 3 years. Now, what would you do regarding current gas prices as well as just funding and improving infrastructure within the state?
Well, a governor can call an emergency act and make a decision on different areas. And so certainly I feel like, as hopefully the next governor, if Ivey does not do it before, then we need to suspend the gas tax, roll up our sleeves, look at what money came in, what money's gone out, and what infrastructures are left to be finished, and focus on that. I personally think the number one thing is we need to put money back in the pockets of the people of Alabama. This gas tax is hurting, and what we need to do is take that away on top of look at grocery taxes and how we can help the people of Alabama. But I will say, what is disturbing is the way it was handled. And the way it was handled was behind closed doors and telling freshman legislators that if they didn't vote for this gas tax, not to consider running again. And that's what I find disturbing. It's on video, people can look it up, and certainly when you're governor and you're trying to discourage freshman legislators on anything, you shouldn't be directing them in that manner, especially behind closed doors. We're the fourth most conservative state, but we're also ranked the fourth most corrupt state. And it's because of dealings like that. That's why I'm paying for my own race. That's why I don't want to be beholden to anyone to make decisions that are best for Alabamians.
So you bring up corruption within the state. What would you do to combat corruption?
Well, I'll tell you, that was my favorite part when I served as ambassador, protecting their port covertly. And number one, we need to encourage our law enforcement and support the Blue by supporting their salaries, supporting their pockets, giving them money to survive and not have to do two jobs. And with that, as governor, you bring in the partnership of ICE, and I'm talking about illegal immigrants mainly, because we have 3 cities in this state that are ranked in the top 30 of murder. And so we have a problem in this state, and so we need to focus on that. But I believe it's in 2 areas, certainly illegal immigrants that bring in the drugs, but also we have a lot of students in the rural areas and some certainly in the metropolitan areas that are suffering from lack of opportunity, lack of hope. And if you're in high school and you know you're that person that's not going to be able to afford a 2-year college or 4-year college, we need to get back to basics in how the education system worked when I was young. We had vocational education in all schools. So we gave hope to the freshmen that saw that they weren't going to be able to do the 2-year. So they focused on vocational education in high school. And then you're not only keeping students in school, you're reducing their drug, hopefully, opportunities because they're staying in school. We want to take that opportunity or thought process away. And then also creating workforce development straight out of high school, which is what we need in this state because we have Hyundai, Honda, Mercedes that cannot supply a workforce in their atmosphere. So we need to help these companies have workforce right away, and I believe it's straight out of high school for the students that know that they're not going to go to a 2-year or 4-year program.
Well, Ms. Blanchard, that's all that we have prepared for you. What else, is there anything that you would like to talk about, speak to the Auburn students and to the Eagle Eye viewers?
So first of all, War Eagle, and when I was ambassador, that was my call name. But I do want to say that I really want to focus on how we can bring up this state together, rural areas and the metropolitan, because when you have the whole state rising together, then that's where we create law and order and education all over the state. And without law and order and education, we are not going to bring in these big businesses and without giving away the farm. And we're literally having to give away the farm to entice these companies here. And we all know how great Alabama is. We've lived here for a long time, and I mean, me my whole life. And we need to be bringing up our numbers just like Mississippi is right now, Georgia. Governor Ivy touts that they brought in 50,000 jobs, but that's over her tenure. So over her tenure, that's very different. That's about, depending on if you say 5 to 6 years, that's about 8,500 to 10,000 a year. When Mississippi alone brought in 20,000 jobs last year. And so when you compare numbers like that, we need to really just focus on how we can bring up this state together, and that includes jobs, that includes broadband width. Our broadband width is behind Mississippi as well, and our education rankings behind Mississippi as well. So there's areas I'd like to focus on, and we used to say thank goodness for Mississippi, but when I'm governor, Mississippi is gonna say we need to catch up with Alabama. And I wanna be that governor that people say, she's as good, if not better, and more proactive as Governor DeSantis. So I want to be compared to Governor DeSantis. So thank you.
Oh, of course, Ms. Blanchard. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, sitting down with us, and just telling us a little bit about you. But unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for Plain Talk.
Thank you so much.
For everyone that is watching at home, make sure to follow Eagle Eye on social medias. You can find us at Eagle Eye TV, and you can check out our website at eagleeyeauburn.com. Throughout this election cycle, we will be keeping y'all up to date on any and all breaking news.
And please look me up at BlanchardForGovernor.com as well. Thank you.
But of course, I've been Adrian Rivera, Lindy Blanchard. Thank you, and War Eagle.